Hey guys, how's it going? I'm Sydney from PhoneDog.com, and I'm back with the Samsung Stratosphere from Verizon Wireless. It's one of their new Android smartphones. It has a few key features. For one thing, it ships with Android 2.3, which is the latest version of Android that's available. It also uses Verizon's 4G LTE network, and it has an excellent physical keyboard. So I've been testing this phone out. I'm going to do a full review, tell you guys what I think of it, the pros and the cons, and how it performs. Is this the one you should get, or should you jump up to one of those super phones that Verizon has with, dual core processor and large displays? That's what we're going to try to answer in the full review. Before we get on to that, I have to say especially to our friends at Best Buy Mobile, we thank them all the time because they send us free phones that we can add to our One Paw Bandit game, which is a game where you guys can win free phones. That's what we use those phones for. One of the great things about Best Buy Mobile is they sell phones from every major U.S. carrier, including some prepaid carriers. So if your contract is up, if you're thinking about switching, instead of having to go to several different retail stores, you can just go to Best Buy Mobile and compare all of the phones in one store. So thank you, Best Buy Mobile, for being so awesome. Thank you guys for watching this video. It's a review of the Samsung Stratosphere from Verizon Wireless. I'm Sydney from PhoneDog.com. Let's go check it out. Okay, so let's get started with the Samsung Stratosphere from Verizon Wireless. This is a Galaxy S device, so if you've seen other Galaxy S devices, you're going to notice a lot of similarities. Verizon also has the Fascinate and the Continuum. Those are both Galaxy S devices, so you'll see a lot of similarities. The phone has a 4-inch Super AMOLED display. It's a very beautiful display. It has a resolution of 800 by 480, which isn't the highest on the market, but just the display technology itself. It's very clear, very bright. The colors just show up very well. It's a very rich display, and it makes the overall experience of using the phone just very enjoyable. Samsung does have some new phones with a Super AMOLED Plus display, so a little bit better technology, but still Super AMOLED, it's great. And you can't really see, just from the standpoint of viewing this on a video, it doesn't really do the display justice, but if you can see it in person, the display is absolutely gorgeous. So nice Super AMOLED Plus display there on the front. The overall design, it's very much like other Samsung devices. You'll notice a lot of similarities to the Samsung Epic, if you've seen that phone, which is on Sprint. That's also a Galaxy S device. So these two phones have a lot of similarities for that reason, and also because the Stratosphere has the same physical keyboard that the Epic has. We'll move on to the keyboard in just a few minutes, but we'll continue with the hardware tour. So yeah, basic Samsung design. It is built primarily out of plastic, which is something that some people don't like about Samsung devices. Personally, to me, it's not a big deal, but take that into consideration. I do like the fact that the back cover, instead of having a glossy texture that some devices have, it actually has a textured finish. This is nice because it really cuts down on fingerprints. You really don't have to worry about that at all. So that's definitely one nice feature. You can see the 5-megapixel camera here on the back. On the left side is the volume rocker buttons, and the micro USB port is on the bottom of the phone. The right side has the power button, which is also the screen lock and unlock button. That's a common feature of Samsung devices, having that button on the right side. There is no dedicated camera button. You have the 3.5mm headphone jack on the top, and so overall, the design is nice. It's thin, even though it has a physical keyboard, so it's obviously going to be a little bit thicker than other devices, but still overall it has a pretty nice design. Now if we move back to the front here, talk a little bit about the operating system and some of the software enhancements that Samsung has made. The phone does ship with Android 2.3, which is definitely a plus because not all Android smartphones today ship with that version. Version 2.3 is the latest version of Android, and so it's nice that you do have that, considering that's not something that you get with every Android device. And then Samsung has added their TouchWiz UI on top of Android. This isn't version 4.0, which is the latest version of TouchWiz, but it's still a newer version than what you'll get again on other Galaxy S devices on the market. So you can see these are two custom widgets that Samsung has added. It's a clock widget and a weather widget. With version 4.0, these widgets are actually resizable, but that feature isn't available with this version. But still, these again are redesigned widgets by by Samsung. It's nice that you get those. Again, some more customization. Samsung has added a dock at the bottom here with shortcuts for phone, contacts, messaging, and applications. This takes you to the app drawer. There are quite a few apps installed out of the box. Some of them, ones that you may use, Amazon Kindle, Backup Assistant, Blockbuster, and then of course NFL Mobile. Those are nice apps to have out of the box. You also have My Verizon Mobile and then Need for Speed Shift, a demo of that game. But you also have a lot of these VCast apps, which are frustrating to some users because more than likely you probably won't use them very much. You may, but you probably won't, and you can't uninstall these apps. So those are just dead apps taking up memory. But you do get VCast Media, VCast Music, Tones, Videos, and then VZ Navigator. YouTube also comes out of the box. So, there's a few pre-installed apps, and again, some of these are ones that I've downloaded. And then you also get the My Files app and Task Manager out of the box. So some of these are nice to have, then again, some of them you won't use. If we go to the notification bar, you'll notice that Samsung has also added some toggle buttons here. These are nice to have. That's not something that you get with stock Android. And then Samsung has also, their custom email application is again a little bit different than what you'll get with just a stock Android device. So those are just a few customizations. If we go over to messaging, and we'll take a look at the virtual keyboard. First of all, you'll notice that this interface, again, is something that Samsung has customized. But there are a couple of virtual keyboards that come with the phone out of the box. We'll just go over them really quickly since you'll probably be using the physical keyboard for the most part. You get the Samsung keyboard, the Android keyboard. They actually look very similar. And then you also get swipe if you'd like to use that. You can just swipe through. Usually whenever I have a phone with a physical keyboard, I actually end up, sometimes using the virtual keyboard, sometimes using the physical keyboard, and sometimes using swipe. So it's nice to have all of those options. But again, you'll probably be using the physical keyboard for the most part. This is a very, very well designed physical keyboard. This, like I said, it's the same keyboard as the Epic. A lot of people said that was one of the best physical keyboards on the market. The size is just perfect because it means because of the size you can have a dedicated number row, but it still leaves enough room for a dedicated space bar row, and then you have these navigational arrows. The keys themselves, they have a very nice texture to them. They have a rubbery feel, but they're not soft and mushy. They're very firm, but still having that rubbery texture just makes it very easy to get a nice grip on them. And then having island style keys. Overall, the keyboard is just very well designed, and so it's one of the things that probably one of the best features of the phone. One minor thing, I do wish that the comma had its own key like the period does, but that's a really minor thing. But overall, the keyboard is great. So you can see the quick brown fox. And I sometimes have a hard problem with this, or have a hard time with this keyboard just because it's kind of long, so I have small hands. Sometimes I can't reach all the way across, but that won't be a problem for everyone. But it is just a great keyboard and very well designed. You can see it at an angle there. The keys are kind of flat, but that really didn't prove any problem for me just because of the grip on them. And then again, having the directional arrows, you also have these Android buttons here on the sides. You can see on the bottom here, which is something that you get with every Android device, menu, home, back, and search. But then you also have them on the keyboard for menu, home, search, and back. So great physical keyboard. I really enjoyed it. I had pretty much no problems with it. You can go to a store and test it out, see if it's something that fits you. Keyboards are something that it's really each individual person has their own preferences in terms of a keyboard, but overall it was one of the best physical keyboards that I have used.